7 people, 7 scaffolds, 7 final statements that authorities tried to bury alongside the bodies. Each one spoke truth to power in their last breath, and for that, history tried to forget them. These are not criminals begging for mercy. These are voices that governments wanted silenced forever. You walk into the courtroom, the gallows, the electric chair, knowing your words will be your last. What do you say? Do you beg? Do you curse? Or do you plant seeds that will bloom long after your body goes cold? These 7 chose the third path, and the powerful never forgave them for it. If you value documented execution history and political resistance like this, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also comment from which city you're hearing this from. This script is researched and factual, using sources from the Smithsonian Magazine archives, published September 2025. The Library of Congress, Haymarket Digital Collection with over 3,800 digitized trial documents from 1886 to 1887, and the National Archives execution records from Fort Smith Federal Court, covering 1873 to 1896. These aren't mainstream sources. These are the deep archives where the uncomfortable truths live. Now back to the information. Number 1. John Brown. December 2nd, 1859. Charlestown, Virginia, 59 years old. The rope waits. Harper's Ferry 10 weeks earlier. Brown and 21 men seized the federal armory on October 16th. The plan: arm enslaved people, spark an uprising, watch slavery burn. By October 18th, Colonel Robert E. Lee and United States Marines stormed the engine house. 10 of Brown's men died. 2 were Brown's sons. Brown took a saber wound to the head but survived. Captured, bleeding, defiant. Trial lasted 5 days. The jury took 45 minutes. Guilty of treason against Virginia, conspiracy, and murder. Judge Webster Thayer sentenced him to hang November 2nd, later moved to December 2nd. Virginia Governor Henry Wise deployed 1,500 soldiers to Charlestown. They feared rescue attempts. They feared Brown's words more. On execution morning, Brown rode to the scaffold sitting on his own coffin in a furniture wagon. Jailer John Avis had grown to respect him during imprisonment. Brown gave Avis his silver watch as thanks. Then Brown handed his guard a folded note. His last written words: "I, John Brown, am now quite certain that the crimes of this guilty land will never be purged away but with blood. I had vainly flattered myself that without very much bloodshed it might be done." The note stayed hidden in that guard's pocket while Brown climbed the scaffold. No speech allowed. They placed the hood, adjusted the noose. Brown stood there 10 minutes while troops got into position. A witness later wrote that Brown stiffened himself for the drop and waited motionless till it came. Sheriff cut the rope with one blow. The platform fell. Brown's body swung in the wind. A Virginia colonel shouted, "So perish all such enemies of Virginia, all such enemies of the Union, all such foes of the human race." The note surfaced afterward. 16 months later, Civil War erupted. Fort Sumter fell April 12th, 1861. Blood indeed. 620,000 dead before it ended. Brown's prophecy carved in corpses. Virginia tried to control the narrative, portrayed Brown as a madman, a terrorist, a fanatic who attacked sovereign state property. Northern newspapers published his courtroom speech from November 2nd, where he said, "I believe that to have interfered as I have done, as I have always freely admitted I have done, in behalf of his despised poor, was not wrong, but right." Henry David Thoreau declared December 2nd a day of mourning, called Brown an angel of light. The South saw a monster. The North saw a martyr. Brown's body traveled by train to North Elba, New York, burial on his family farm December 8th. His final note became abolitionist scripture, printed on broadsides, read at rallies. Soldiers sang John Brown's body, marching into battle. Virginia spent decades trying to erase what he said, to paint him as violent and deranged, to justify the execution. They couldn't bury the words. Blood did purge the land, exactly as Brown predicted, standing on that coffin. Number 2, August Spies, November 11th, 1887, Cook County Jail in Chicago, 31 years old, white hood covers his face, Haymarket Square, May 4th, 1886. A bomb explodes during a labor rally, 7 police dead, 60 injured, public hysteria follows. The trial opens June 21st, 1881, 8 anarchists charged: August Spies, Albert Parsons, Adolf Fischer, George Engel, Louis Ling, Samuel Fielden, Michael Schwab, and Oscar Neba. The prosecution admits none threw the bomb. No evidence directly ties any defendant to the bomber. The charge: conspiracy to commit murder. The real crime: their anarchist beliefs, their labor organizing, their immigrant status, Judge Joseph Gary presides. The jury foreman, a retired police officer, tells a friend before trial, "Damn them! They ought to hang anyway." The trial becomes spectacle. The state presents their writings advocating violence as evidence. Never mind that advocating and doing are different. The jury convicts all 8. 7 get death. Nibe gets 15 years. The courtroom erupts. Appeals fail at every level. Illinois Supreme Court in 1887 denies relief. United States Supreme Court refuses to hear the case by unanimous decision in October. Spies marries Nina Van Zandt, a wealthy Chicago socialite. In jail January 1887. She's published articles defending him. Their marriage lasts until his death. Governor Richard Oglesby commutes Fielden and Schwab's sentences to life imprisonment November 10th, the day before execution. Louis Ling explodes a smuggled dynamite cap in his mouth that same day. Dies in his cell. 4 men walk to the gallows November 11th. Spies, Parsons, Fisher, Engel, all in white robes and hoods. They sing the Marseillaise, the anthem of revolution. Lucy Parsons tries to see her husband Albert one last time. Police arrest her, search her for bombs, find nothing. The hoods go on. Spies shouts through the cloth, "There will come a time when our silence will be more powerful than the voices you strangle today." Fisher and Engel cry out, "Hurrah for anarchism." Parsons requests to speak. They spring the trapdoor before he finishes asking. None die quickly. The drop doesn't break their necks. They strangle slowly. Witnesses report visible horror in the crowd. The bodies swing for minutes. Spies' prophecy echoes. Judge Gary privately boasts to a journalist, "Did you see what I did to those anarchist bastards the other day?" The press calls them terrorists, monsters, red ruffians, dynamarchists. The Chicago Tribune, Chicago Times, and New York Times run sensational coverage painting anarchists as foreign threats to American order. Edward Aveling writes, "If these men are ultimately hanged, it will be the Chicago Tribune that has done it." 100,000 people signed clemency petitions. The campaigns fail. Governor Oglesby refuses further intervention. Chicago buries the 4 at Waldheim Cemetery in June 1893. Governor John Peter Altgeld pardons the 3 survivors that same month after reviewing the trial transcripts. Altgeld writes, "The trial was a travesty. Judge biased, jury packed, evidence fabricated. His political career ends for this act of conscience." The words lived anyway. International Workers' Day, May Day, born from Haymarket. Labor movements worldwide adopt May 1st. Spies' final statement gets carved on the Haymarket Martyrs, monument at Waldheim. "The time will come when our silence will be more powerful than the voices you strangle today." That monument still stands. Workers still march every May 1st. The 8 names still echo. Chicago tried to suppress it with a police statue in Haymarket Square in 1889. Anarchists kept bombing it. Police moved it inside headquarters. 2004 brings a neutral memorial to Haymarket. The silence became deafening. Number 3. Nathan Hale. September 22nd, 1776. Artillery Park, Manhattan. 21 years old. British soldiers prepare the noose. The famous quote, "I only regret that I have but one life to lose for my country." Every American schoolchild learns it. Here's the problem. Nathan Hale probably never said it. Hale graduated Yale College in 1773 at 18, became a school teacher in Connecticut. When Lexington and Concord news arrived, April 1775, he joined Connecticut militia. Commissioned Lieutenant July 1775. Promoted to Captain Continental Army, January 1776. Spent months in camp performing administrative duties, keeping records, drawing supplies, writing receipts, supervising guard duty. No battlefield glory. No combat experience, just paperwork and waiting. September 1776, he volunteered for a spy mission. General George Washington needed intelligence on British forces occupying New York. Washington asked for volunteers. Only Hale stepped forward. His friend Captain William Hull warned him. His nature was too frank and open for deceit and disguise, and he was incapable of acting a part equally foreign to his feelings and habits. Hale didn't listen. The mission was doomed from the start. Hale embarked September 15th. That same day, British forces landed at Kips Bay and took Manhattan. Washington didn't need updates anymore. The enemy was right there. But Hale continued anyway. He disguised himself as a Dutch schoolteacher looking for work, though he kept his Yale diploma with his real name, Amateur Hour. He had a powder burn scar on his cheek, unusual for a teacher. He carried himself like a soldier. Couldn't blend in. Robert Rogers, the British commander of Queen's American Rangers, searched for American defectors. He encountered Hale at a roadside tavern near the end of Hale's mission. Rogers fabricated a story about being an American behind enemy lines. They drank together. Witnesses say they toasted to Congress's health. Hale admitted he was on a mission from Washington. Rogers arrested him immediately. September the 21st. She sticks. British captured Hale in civilian clothes carrying incriminating notes. No trial. General William Howe ordered immediate execution. September 22nd, 11 o'clock in the morning. Hale marched to Artillery Park near what's now 66th Street and 3rd Avenue in Manhattan. British Major Frederick Mackenzie wrote the only contemporary account. He behaved with great composure and resolution, saying he thought it the duty of every good officer to obey any orders given him by his commander-in-chief, and desired the spectators to be at all times prepared to meet death in whatever shape it might appear. That's it. That's the documented statement. No mention of regretting anything, no mention of one life to lose for country. Where did the famous quote come from? British Captain John Montresor witnessed the execution. Next day, September 23rd, Montresor met American Captain William Hull under a flag of truce. Montresor relayed that Hale impressed everyone with his dignity and consciousness of rectitude and high intentions. Montresor quoted Hale as saying, "I only regret that I have but one life to lose for my country." But this is secondhand, spoken to Hull the day after. No other witnesses confirm it. The phrase resembles lines from Joseph Addison's play Cato, hugely popular in 1770s. "What pity is it that we can die but once to serve our country?" Hale likely knew the play. Maybe he paraphrased it. Maybe Montresor remembered it wrong. Maybe Montresor made it up to give the execution dignity. We'll never know. The Essex Journal, February 13th, 1777, claimed Hale told spectators they were shedding the blood of the innocent, and that if he had 10,000 lives, he would lay them all down, if called to it, in defense of his injured, bleeding country. Hale's brother Enoch interviewed witnesses in October 1776, wrote in his diary, "When at the Gallows, he spoke and told them that he was a capt in the Kent army by name Nathan Hale." 3 different versions, all from people who weren't there or wrote it down later. The famous quote didn't appear in print until 1824, when Jedediah Morse included Hale in Annals of the American Revolution. 48 years after the execution, by then, the story had hardened into legend. American authorities said nothing about Hale's death. His death received no formal announcement at the time. Continental Army kept it quiet to avoid damaging morale. Washington's camp only learned about it September 22nd through British channels. Colonel Samuel Webb wrote in his journal, "Nathaniel Hale was hanged for a spy. Not being suspected by his movement, he wanted to get out of New York. Was taken up and examined by the gen, and some minutes being found on him, orders were immediately given that he should be hanged." British authorities prevented a proper burial. Hale's body may have been dumped in a mass grave or left hanging as warning. Location unknown. No grave marker. His possessions didn't return to his family until June 4th, 1777, 9 months after his death. Uniform, army diary, receipt book, camp basket, muster rolls, captain's commission, several letters. 2 letters. Hale wrote the morning of execution never reached their recipients. Destroyed by British. The American narrative needed a martyr. Schools teach the quote, statues bear it. CIA has a statue at headquarters with the words inscribed. The truth is messier. Hale was a failed spy who lasted 4 days before capture. His mission accomplished nothing. He may or may not have said the words attributed to him. The quote is likely invented or misremembered, but America needed the story, so America kept it. The British tried to make Hale disappear by denying proper burial, denying announcement of death, destroying his letters. Didn't work. The legend survived even if the truth didn't. Number 4, Bartolomeo Vanzetti, August 23rd, 1927, Charlestown State Prison, Massachusetts, 39 years old. The electric chair hums. 2 Italian immigrants, Nicholas Acco, 36-year-old shoemaker from Stoughton, married with 2 children. Bartolomeo Vanzetti, 39-year-old fish peddler from Plymouth, single. Both anarchists, both executed just after midnight, August 22nd, 1927. The date matters. Official records say August 22nd turning to 23rd. Some sources say August 23rd. Either way, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts killed them April 15th. 1920, Slater and Morrill's shoe factory in South Braintree, Massachusetts. Payroll clerk Frederick Parmenter and security guard Alessandro Berardelli shot to death during robbery. Over $15,000 stolen. Eyewitnesses describe 2 Italian men, investigation stalls. No physical evidence, no recovered money, no clear suspects for weeks. May 3rd, 1920, anarchist Andrea Salcedo falls from 14th floor window of New York Department of Justice building, held 8 weeks without charges, called a suicide. The anarchist community knows better. Sacco and Vanzetti attend a protest meeting May 5th. Police arrest them that day on a trolley car, both armed, both carrying anarchist literature. Sacco has a flyer for upcoming anarchist rally, charged with the Braintree murders weeks later. June 1921, trial begins in Dedham, Norfolk County. Judge Webster Thayer presides. He asked to be assigned to the case. Same judge who previously presided over Vanzetti's conviction in a different robbery case. The evidence? Ballistics tests on Sacco's gun. Though experts disagree. Witness identifications, though many are uncertain. Their anarchist beliefs in draft evasion during World War I presented as evidence of guilt. Their Italian immigrant status used against them. The defense presents alibis. 12 customers testify Vanzetti was delivering fish at the time. Italian consulate official says Sacco was obtaining passport. Doesn't matter. The jury convicts both men, July 14th, 1921, after deliberating less than 3 hours. Both sentenced to death. The jury foreman, a retired policeman, tells a friend, "Damn them, they ought to hang anyway." Post-war America drowning in anti-immigrant sentiment. The Red Scare in full effect. Palmer raids in 1919 and 1920. Attorney General A. Mitchell Palmer orders mass arrests of radicals. Thousands detained. Many foreigners deported without trial. Fear of communism and anarchism runs hot after Bolshevik revolution in Russia. Fear of immigrants bringing radical politics. Sacco and Vanzetti caught in the middle of national hysteria. The appeals stretch 7 years. New evidence surfaces. Celestino Medeiros, convicted murderer under death sentence, confesses in 1925 he participated in the crime with the Joe Morelli gang. Describes details matching the crime. Sacco and Vanzetti file motion for new trial. Denied. Judge Thayer handles the motion. Same judge from original trial. He refuses to grant new trial. Every appeal denied. Massachusetts. Supreme Judicial Court upholds conviction. United States Supreme Court declines to hear case. President Calvin Coolidge's silence equals consent. April 9th, 1927. Judge Thayer sentences them to death. Execution date set for July 10th, postponed to August 10th, then August 22nd. International protests explode. Demonstrations in every major city in North America and Europe, also Tokyo, Sydney, Melbourne, Sao Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, Buenos Aires, Dubai, Montevideo, Johannesburg, Mexico City, Auckland. Bombs explode in American embassies. United States Embassy in Paris surrounded by tanks to protect it from protesters. London riot results in 40 injuries. Geneva consulate surrounded by 5,000 protesters. 100,000 Americans sign clemency petition. Governor Alvin T. Fuller appoints advisory committee to review the case in 1927. Committee includes Harvard President Abbott Lawrence Lowell. Committee concludes trial was fair. Fuller denies clemency. The case is political now. The state cannot back down. To admit error means admitting the system failed. Better to kill 2 innocent men than admit the justice system got it wrong. The day before execution, Sacco and Vanzetti write a joint letter to friends. That we lost and have to die does not diminish our appreciation and gratitude for your great solidarity with us and our families. Friends and comrades, now that the tragedy of this trial is at an end, be all as of one heart. Only 2 of us will die. Our ideal, you, our comrades, will live by millions. We have won, but not vanquished. Just treasure our suffering, our sorrow, our mistakes, our defeats, our passion for future battles, and for the great emancipation. Nicola Sacco goes first. His last recorded words, "Viva l'anarchia," long live anarchy. Then, in Italian to guards, "Farewell, my wife and child and all my friends." He cries as they strap him in. Vanzetti speaks longer. To guards, "I wish to tell you that I am innocent. I have never done a crime. Some sins, but never any crime. I thank you for everything you have done for me. I am innocent of all crime, not only this one, but of all. I am an innocent man." Shakes hands with warden, 2 guards, prison doctor, then sits in the chair. Final words, "I now wish to forgive some people for what they are doing to me." 3 electrical charges hit Sacco. Dead. They bring in Vanzetti. First charge, second charge, third charge. Heart still beating. They strap him back in. Additional charges until he's dead. Botched. Gruesome. Unnecessary. Over 100,000 people view the bodies at a North End funeral home over 3 days. The funeral procession in Boston stretches 8 miles. Workers around the world wear black armbands. Protests continue for months. The New York Times describes the worldwide reaction as unprecedented. Bombings and revenge over the next several years. Italian anarchist Severino di Giovanni bombs American targets in Buenos Aires multiple times. 50 years later, Massachusetts Governor Michael Dukakis signs proclamation on August 23, 1977. Any stigma and disgrace should be forever removed from the names of Nicholas Sacco and Bartolomeo Vanzetti. We are not here to say whether these men are guilty or innocent. We are here to say that the high standards of justice, which we in Massachusetts take such pride in, failed Sacco and Vanzetti. Not an exoneration, just an admission of failure. Judge Thayer reportedly said to acquaintance after sentencing, "Did you see what I did to those anarchist bastards the other day?" The Commonwealth tried to make the case about crime. It was always about ideology, about crushing dissent, about controlling immigrants, about sending a message that radicals would be eliminated. Vanzetti's words cut through it. "I am suffering because I am a radical, and indeed, I am a radical. I have suffered because I was an Italian, and indeed I am an Italian. But I am so convinced to be right that you could execute me 2 times, and if I could be reborn 2 other times, I would live again to do what I have done already." They wanted to silence the message. The world heard it louder. Their deaths galvanized the labor movement. Woody Guthrie wrote songs about them. James Green, historian, wrote, "No other event in American history has exerted such a hold on the imaginations of people in other lands, especially on the minds of working people in Europe and the Latin world. Where the art martyrs of Chicago were annual, wait, wrong martyrs, the martyrs of Boston, the names Sacco and Vanzetti became synonymous with injustice, with state murder, with the failure of the justice system to protect the innocent when they held unpopular beliefs. The last words from the electric chair, the last moment belongs to us. That agony is our triumph." Vanzetti said that earlier, knowing death was coming. On the chair, calmer, "I now wish to forgive some people for what they are doing to me." Both statements true, both defiant. Both refusing to let the state have the final word on their legacy. Massachusetts tried to erase them. The names outlasted the executioners. Number 5, Julius and Ethel Rosenberg, June 19, 1953. Sing Sing Prison, Ossining, New York. Julius 35, Ethel 37. The electric chair waits for both. Soviet Union tested atomic bomb August 1949. Americans panicked. Someone betrayed the secrets. Klaus Fuchs arrested February 1950. His confession leads to Harry Gold. Gold leads to David Greenglass, Ethel's brother, machinist at Los Alamos. Greenglass confesses June 15th, names his sister and Julius, both arrested weeks later. Trial begins March 6th, 1951. Judge Irving Kaufman presides. Greenglass testifies Ethel typed atomic secrets. No physical evidence. Just testimony from cooperating witnesses. Jury convicts March 29th. Death sentence April 5th. Government offers deal, confess. Name names Lev. They refuse. 7 Supreme Court appeals denied. Truman denies clemency. Eisenhower denies clemency. June 19th, 8 p.m. Julius dies quickly. Ethel next. 3 electrical charges. Heart still beating. 4th charge. 5th charge. Finally dead. Gruesome. Botched. First woman executed by federal government since 1865. Their sons Michael, 10, Robert 6, orphaned. Final letter to sons. Always remember that we were innocent and could not wrong our conscience. Decades later, truth emerges. Julius guilty, ran spy ring, passed military secrets, not atomic bomb secrets. Ethel knew but didn't participate. FBI Director Hoover knew she wasn't a spy. Arrested her as leverage. August 1950, memo declassified 2024 proves it. Government knew, killed her anyway. For refusing to cooperate, for being married to Julius, murder dressed as justice. Number 6, Mary Queen of Scots, February 8th, 1587. Fotheringhay Castle, Northamptonshire, 44 years old. The axe waits, born December 8th, 1542. Father dies 6 days later. Infant becomes Queen of Scots. Sent to France age 5, marries Francis, becomes Queen Consort of France 1559. Francis dies 1560, returns to Scotland 1561, Catholic queen in Protestant country, marries Lord Darnley 1565. He's murdered February 1567, marries Earl of Bothwell 3 months later, chief murder suspect. Scottish nobility revolts, forces her to abdicate June 1567. She flees to England May 1568, seeking protection from cousin Elizabeth III. Elizabeth imprisons her 19 years. Mary, Catholic with claim to English throne, becomes center of every Catholic plot. The Babington Plot, 1586. Plan to assassinate Elizabeth. Free Mary. Make her queen. Letters intercepted. Mary approved it. Evidence clear. Trial October 15th. Guilty verdict. Elizabeth signs death warrant February 1st, after weeks of delay. February 7th evening. Mary told she dies tomorrow. Final hours in prayer. Writes will. Final letter to King of France. I'm to be executed like a criminal at 8 in the morning. The Catholic faith and the assertion of my God-given right to the English crown are the two issues on which I am condemned. February 8th morning. Scaffold in Great Hall. Black cloth everywhere. Mary enters. Servant Melvin kneels, crying. She requests her servants attend. Commissioners refuse. Fear they'll dip cloths in blood for relics. She insists. They permit 6 servants after oath. Earl reads execution order. Dean offers Protestant prayers. Mary refuses. Prays in Latin. Forgives executioners. I forgive you with all my heart. For now, I hope. You shall make an end of all my troubles. Her women help her disrobe. She removes black gown. Underneath, crimson red bodice and petticoat, Catholic martyrdom color. Final statement to history. Women weep. Mary tells them in French, "Don't cry, I promised you." Tells them to rejoice, not weep. Turns to male servants, bids farewell, asks them to pray. Woman places cloth over Mary's face. Mary kneels, positions head on block, stretches arms. Last words, into thy hands. O Lord, I commend my spirit. First, axe blow misses neck. Strikes back of head. Second blow, severs neck, except small sinew. Executioner cuts through, lifts head. God save the queen. Auburn hair falls away. A wig, real hair short, gray. Lips move 15 minutes after. Small dog emerges from her skirts. Dies soon after. Orders given to burn clothes. Body embalmed, buried, Protestant service, Peterborough Cathedral. July race. France burial request denied. Elizabeth claims she never intended execution. Blames Secretary Davison, imprisons him, but documents at British Library prove Elizabeth simultaneously ordered Mary's assassination. Same day she signed warrant, ordered keepers to murder Mary privately. Letter to Sir Amyas Paulet and Sir Drew Drury, find way to shorten Mary's life. They refused. Wouldn't be murderers, so formal execution proceeded. Elizabeth wanted quiet murder, got international scandal. News spread across Europe. Holy Roman Empire published accounts. Woodcuts showed beheading. Mary became Catholic martyr. Elizabeth's government tried narrative control. Traitor execution, not persecution. Didn't work. Catholic world saw murder. Her staged death, crimson dress. Latin prayers, forgiving executioners, created perfect martyr image. Mary knew how history would remember. She won. If you value documented resistance and execution history like this, subscribe. This is your second reminder that channels covering uncomfortable truths need support. Drop a comment telling us which of these 7 stories hit hardest and why. Now finishing strong. Number 7, Ken Saro-Wiwa. November 10th, 1995. Port Harcourt Prison, Nigeria. 54 years old, 5 attempts to kill him. The Niger Delta produces 90% of Nigeria's oil revenue. The Ogoni people, 500,000 strong, live on 350 square miles, where that oil comes from. Farmers and fishermen for generations until Shell arrived 1958. No consultation with Ogoni. No compensation, no benefits, just pollution. Oil spills kill farms. Gas flares choke the air. Fish die. Crops fail. Water turns poison. The money flows to Lagos and London. Nothing returns to Ogoni. No roads, no electricity, no hospitals. Environmental genocide. Ken Saro-Wiwa, born October 10th, 1941 in Bori, university educated, brilliant writer, creates Bassi & Company, television series that runs 150 episodes, becomes most successful show in Nigerian history. Published novelist, could have lived comfortable. Instead, chose resistance. October 1990, co-founds Movement for the Survival of the Ogoni People. MOSOP. Writes an Ogoni Bill of Rights, demanding autonomy, oil profit share, environmental cleanup, military withdrawal. January 1993. MOSOP organizes peaceful demonstration. 300,000 Ogoni march through 4 urban centers, more than half the ethnic population in the streets. International media arrives, world sees the devastation. Shell suspends Ogoni land operations under pressure. Victory? No. Nigerian military government occupies the region instead. General Sani Abacha sends troops. Intimidation begins, violence follows. May 21st, 1994, 4 conservative Ogoni chiefs murdered during rally. Different MOSOP faction. Political disagreement turned deadly. Mob violence. Saro-Wiwa wasn't there, had been blocked from attending, didn't order it, didn't participate, arrested anyway. June 1st, perfect excuse to eliminate him, charged with inciting the murders. Special military tribunal convened, judge appointed by Abacha. The trial, complete fabrication. Key witnesses admit years later they received bribes from Nigerian government and Shell, money, job promises. Shell's lawyer present during witness coaching sessions. Defense attorneys resign mid-trial, protesting the corruption. Human rights groups denounce proceedings as sham. Doesn't matter. November 8th, 1995, tribunal upholds death sentence. Saro-Wiwa and 8 others, the Ogoni 9. No appeals allowed. Execution set for November 10th, 5 a.m. that Friday morning. 9 men moved from military camp to Port Harcourt prison. 5 professional executioners flown in from Sokoto in Nigeria's north. Prison hasn't executed anyone in 30 years, not since British colonial rule. Gallows constructed hastily in preceding days. Amateur construction. Shows immediately. Saro-Wiwa let out first. They position him, pull the lever. Trapdoor opens. Rope snaps. He drops to ground. Rope failed. Second attempt. Mechanism jams. Third attempt. Rope breaks again. Fourth attempt. Equipment malfunction. Fifth attempt still fails. Saro-Wiwa, standing there through botched execution after botched execution, finally screams, "Why are you people treating me like this? What kind of country is this?" Sixth attempt. The rope holds. His last coherent words before final drop, "Lord, take my soul." But the struggle continues. 8 more hangings follow, all buried unmarked graves in prison grounds. Nigerian government immediately bans public mourning, threatens arrest for anyone who grieves openly. International response, immediate fury. Commonwealth of Nations suspends Nigeria November 11th, day after executions. Suspension lasts 3 years. European Union imposes economic sanctions. United States recalls ambassador. Worldwide condemnation. Shell issues denial of complicity, claims no involvement in arrests, trial, arrest, or executions. Documents surface later proving otherwise. Shell collaborated with military government, provided logistical support for crackdown, facilitated witness bribing, knew about trial corruption, did nothing to prevent executions. 1996. Lawsuit filed in New York federal court against Shell for human rights violations. Case drags 13 years. June 2009. Shell agrees to $15.5 million settlement. Admits no wrongdoing. Buys silence, money to make lawsuit disappear. Before execution, Saro-Wiwa wrote final statement. Smuggled out of detention. We all stand before history. I predict that scene here would be played and replayed by generations unborn. By our actions, we have denigrated our country and jeopardized the future of our children. He prepared 6-minute speech for tribunal. They refused to let him read it, claimed his innocence, defended nonviolent activism, named the corruption. They silenced him in court. But words escaped anyway. His daughter No, Saro-Wiwa, later writes, looking for Transwonderland, chronicling return to Nigeria decades after her father's murder. His son Ken Wiwa writes, in the shadow of a saint, about grappling with the legacy. The family campaigns for justice for 30 years. June 12th, 2025, Nigeria's Democracy Day. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu pardons Saro-Wiwa and the Ogoni 9 posthumously. 30 years late, calls them heroes. Awards national honors. Family calls it insufficient. Want full exoneration. Want public innocence declaration. Want Shell held accountable. Want Ogoni land cleaned up. None of that happened yet. Ogoni land remains poisoned. Oil companies still extracting. Communities still suffering. United Nations Environmental Program calls Niger Delta the most endangered river delta on Earth. The pollution Saro-Wiwa died. Fighting continues today. But his prediction proved accurate. The execution replayed across generations. Environmental movements worldwide adopted Ogoni cause. His name became synonymous with corporate environmental destruction. Goldman, environmental prize established in his honor. Movement he started didn't die with him. 7 scaffolds across centuries, 7 final statements, 7 attempts to bury truth. John Brown predicted blood would purge America's sins. 16 months later, Civil War, 620,000 dead. August. Spies declared their silence would be more powerful than voices strangled. May Day, born from Haymarket. Workers march worldwide every May 1st. Nathan Hale possibly never said his famous last words. America created the myth, anyway, because it needed martyr more than truth. Sacco and Vanzetti maintained innocence to electric chair. Massachusetts finally admitted justice system failed them 50 years later. The Rosenbergs refused to confess or name names. Government killed them anyway. Evidence now proves Ethel was innocent. Mary Queen of Scots staged perfect martyrdom in crimson dress. Catholic Europe mourned her for generations. Ken Saro-Wiwa promised the struggle continues. 30 years later, still fighting Shell in Niger Delta. The pattern repeats. Power fears last words because they expose execution's true nature. Not justice. Control, not law. Power, not safety. Fear. You can kill the body, cannot kill the message. Every attempt to silence makes the words louder. Every scaffold becomes platform. Every executioner becomes publicist for the cause they tried to destroy. History tried forgetting, burned the books, destroyed the letters, spread propaganda, rewrote textbooks, built monuments to executioners, denied proper burial, banned mourning, made examples. Didn't work. The word survived, carved into stone, passed down through families, sung in protest songs, taught in underground schools, repeated in courtrooms, chanted at demonstrations, printed on banners. These 7 planted seeds knowing they'd never see the harvest. The seeds grew anyway. John Brown's body molders in the grave, but his truth goes marching on. Haymarket martyrs, monument stands in Chicago, spies' words carved in granite. Nathan Hale's statue outside CIA headquarters bears words he probably never said. Doesn't matter. The myth serves the truth underneath. Massachusetts. Governor formally apologized to Sacco and Vanzetti, 1977. Too late for them. Not too late for justice. Rosenberg's son still fighting for mother's exoneration. Mary reburied Westminster Abbey 1612 with full honors. Saro-Wiwa's name invoked every time corporation pollutes indigenous land. The gallows are gone. Ropes rotted. Electric chairs unplugged. Executioners dead. Judges dead. Prosecutors dead. Governments that ordered deaths fallen or reformed. But the words remain. That's what they couldn't kill. That's what they feared most. Not the person. The words, because words plant themselves in other minds, grow in other mouths, spread across time like fire through dry grass. These weren't perfect people. Brown killed in Kansas before Harper's Ferry. Haymarket anarchists did advocate violence in their writings. Hale was amateur spy who accomplished nothing. Sacco maybe committed other crimes, even if Braintree murders were frame job. Julius Rosenberg was guilty of espionage, even if not atomic secrets. Mary absolutely plotted Elizabeth's assassination. Saro-Wiwa's aggressive tactics alienated potential allies. Doesn't matter. Their last words exposed systems of power willing to murder to protect themselves. Willing to lie about it, willing to suppress evidence, willing to fabricate testimony, willing to ignore international outcry, willing to do anything except admit error. That's the real crime. Not what the condemned did, what the state did, using law as weapon, justice as theater, execution as warning. These 7 refused to play a signed role, refused to beg, refused to recant, refused to legitimize the murder by accepting its framing, used last breath to delegitimize the entire proceeding. That's unforgivable to power. That's why history tried forgetting. We remember, we repeat, we resist. That's the final victory. Not preventing their deaths, making sure deaths meant something. Making sure the struggle continued exactly as they demanded. Making sure silence became more powerful than strangling voices. Making sure blood purged the crimes it was shed for. Making sure myths served truth even when truth was uncertain. Making sure justice eventually came even decades late. Making sure the martyrdom counted. 7 last words from 7 gallows. History tried to forget. We won't let it. Pardons Saro-Wiwa and the Ogoni Nine. 30 years late, calls them heroes. Awards them national titles posthumously. Saro-Wiwa's family says pardons are moving but insufficient. Want full exoneration. Want public declaration of innocence. Want accountability for Shell's role. Want environmental cleanup of Ogoniland. Still waiting. The execution made Saro-Wiwa international martyr for environmental and human rights movements. Foundations established in his name. His writings studied worldwide. The plight of Ogoni became symbol for indigenous peoples destroyed by oil industry, by multinational corporations, by corrupt governments collaborating with foreign companies. Globalization exposed as threat to environments, local economies, native peoples everywhere. Nigeria wanted him forgotten. Shell wanted him forgotten. World remembers. The struggle continues, exactly as he said. Ogoniland still polluted. Oil companies still operating. Communities still suffering. United Nations identifies Niger Delta as most endangered river delta in world. The poisoning continues, but the fight continues. That's what they couldn't kill on the gallows. His last words weren't plea for mercy, were a statement of fact. The struggle continues with or without him. 7 scaffolds, 7 silenced voices, 7 statements that refuse to die. John Brown's blood prophecy came true in Civil War. Spies' silence became louder than any speech through labor movements worldwide. Hale's possibly invented words became American mythology. Sacco and Vanzetti's conviction exposed justice system's failure. The Rosenbergs' execution showed Cold War paranoia would kill even the innocent. Mary's theatrical martyrdom echoed through Catholic Europe for generations. Saro-Wiwa's environmental crusade continues decades after Shell in Nigeria murdered him. The pattern clear. Power fears last words, not because words themselves dangerous, because they reveal the execution for what it is, not justice, control, not law, power, not safety, fear. When you kill someone and they use final breath to speak truth, you've already lost. Can kill the body, can't kill the message. 1997, Haymarket Martyrs, monument designated National Historic Landmark. 2004, Ganakuru new memorial erected at Haymarket Square replacing police statue. Mary Queen of Scots reburied Westminster Abbey 1612 by her son King James. John Brown's raid called dress rehearsal for Civil War. Sacco and Vanzetti's names synonymous with wrongful conviction. Rosenberg case still debated. Saro-Wiwa Environmental Prize established. What authorities tried to bury, history resurrected. Not because the executed were perfect. They weren't. Brown was violent. Haymarket 8 advocated revolution. Mary participated in assassination plots. Saro-Wiwa's tactics were aggressive, but their last words exposed something true. Systems of power will kill to protect themselves, will lie about it, will try to erase the evidence. These 7 refused to be erased, used final moments to ensure someone remembered. Someone would know the truth. Someone would continue the fight. That's why power hates last words from the gallows, because they plant seeds in soil of time. And those seeds grow despite all attempts to burn them out. The gallows are gone now. The executioners are dead. The governments that ordered deaths have fallen or changed, but the words remain, carved on monuments, written in books, taught in schools, repeated in protests. They tried to forget. We remember. That's the power of last words. Not in changing the verdict, in changing what comes after.